I want to take you to a place where the mountains touch the heaven and the air still holds a trace of frontier decency. A place where over the weekend, evil struck. Not with a drone, not with a bomb, not with a cyber attack, or a coordinated cell, but with fire. Ancient, primal, vicious. A man, not a citizen, I want to make that clear, not a citizen, not even a guest of our country anymore, an illegal immigrant whose visa had expired not once, but 2 times, hurled a Molotov cocktail into the window of a Jewish family's home this weekend. Flames don't ask questions. They quickly licked up the curtains, the memories, the photographs, and the people. One woman, elderly now, frail, a woman who had escaped the Holocaust in the last century. A woman who escaped Hitler's ovens only to be set ablaze here in the nation that was supposed to be the world's safe harbor. Let that settle in. She survived last century's greatest evil only to be hunted in this century, in this country, on our streets. When will you say you've had enough? Why was he here? How many more like him are here, hiding in plain sight, walking amongst us? Why, 2 decades after 9/11, have we learned nothing? Do you remember what 9/11, you remember what they said caused that? People overstaying their visas. And so we were going to change, we're going to get the Patriot Act so that never happened again. Well, the Patriot Act has done an awful lot of things, but apparently not stopped what caused 9/11. That was the hole we swore we were going to close. Do you remember the commissions? Do you remember the hearings? Do you remember all of the promises? They meant nothing. And it'll only get worse if we keep trading security for ideology, borders for feelings, sovereignty for slogans. We need to rebuild our manufacturing base. And American Giant started doing that 14 years ago. They make clothing here at home with American cotton, American hands, and American heart. It's quality you can feel. Go to american-giant.com/Glenn. Get 20% off your first purchase. That's american-giant.com/Glenn. Anti-Semitism is burning in our streets. This time, literal fire. This is not really an abstract kind of concept. This isn't a mean tweet or a campus protest. This is torches and flames. And it should sound familiar because I think we've all seen this movie before. Wasn't it in the 1930s that this happened when they lit synagogues, they lit people on fire? America, are you sleepwalking into that same nightmare? I have to tell you, I am so sick and tired of the lies from the left and the media. Every single day they claimed Donald Trump and his supporters, they're nothing but Hitler and they're Nazis. Well, let me ask you a question. What were the Nazis best known for? Because I don't think it was the Volkswagen. It was the Holocaust. It was their hatred of Jews. It was Kristallnacht. It was the ovens in Auschwitz. Let me ask you, which group of people is marching in the streets chanting from the rivers to the sea? Are they Donald Trump supporters? Or are the anarchists, the LGBTQ community, the Democrats, the socialists, the communists? Aren't they the ones doing it? I'm having a hard time with this because, Donald Trump is trying to build more cars in America, and if that's the way you define Hitler as somebody who was responsible for the Volkswagen, then yeah, I guess he's Hitler. But if you concentrate on what's happening with the Jews, it's very, very clear whose side is on who. Which one is shouting river to the sea, which means no Jews in Israel? 2 weeks ago, the son of a man who was a guest of the Democratic Party at the last State of the Union, his son, a flag-waving member of the communist socialist movement here in America, shot two innocent Jews in the streets 2 weeks ago. In fact, he took the time to reload so he could finish the young lady off. She tried to crawl to safety. I try not to be angry, but I am passionate. I was mocked by the ADL in 2009 or 10. Maybe it was probably 2009 and 10. I was called a hate monger for spreading fear because I dare tell you that what the world witnessed on the streets of Germany in the 1930s would come again to our streets. Well, let me ask the ADL. Do you still wish me to remain silent? Because this is exactly what I warned about and exactly what you called me a hate monger for pointing out. Gee, I'm sorry you don't have the vision needed to protect your own people, but it doesn't require an awful lot of vision, really. This story has been told over and over and over again. What are you saying now? What do you see coming now? Is it still Donald Trump you're really worried about? As bad as it is today, I warn you, you haven't seen anything yet. And this time it is global. And mainly because you on the left, in all of your haughtiness, all of your overeducated boobs that try to preach to everybody about love and peace, have no idea how people actually work. You have cozied up to the very groups of people that wish to destroy the Jew. And you have only made it worse. The hour grows late. And let me ask you, the Jew has been chased out of every country on earth, always told to go back to where they come from. Well, they finally did, and now you want them out of there as well. Where do they go? This time, where does the Jew run? Where does the Jew hide? Please don't let this ancient evil grab your heart, please. This is an ancient evil, and if we do not start treating it as such, instead of something we can negotiate with, I promise you the Jews will only be the canary in the coal mine. And with AI on the event horizon, there will be no place for the Jew or you to hide. No place. You know, the West isn't a direction on a compass. It's an idea. Fragile, but luminous idea. That all men are created equal, that laws matter, that borders matter, that truth matters. But when we allow lawlessness in the name of compassion, when we let hatred march unchallenged under the mask of tolerance, when we fail to enforce even the most basic boundaries of civilization, we're not being moral, we're being suicidal. How much longer will we ignore this? What will it take for all decent Americans to wake up? Must every town lose a synagogue? Must we have shootings and now fire bombings on all of our streets in all of our cities? Must every grandmother who survived the ovens of Auschwitz die in the flames of our indifference? When the people who came here because they were being persecuted for what they believed in, they said, we need to be a city on the hill. To be the last great hope of man on earth. But cities burn when no one defends them. When the watchman abandons their post, when people forget their own history, when people forget who they are. This is not about politics. This is not about race. This is about civilization. And we either draw the line here or we will allow the fire to spread until there is no West left to defend. And it will only be then that the world will mourn and weep for the just decency that Western civilization has created. They will weep, but it will be too late. This time, let's not be the generation that remembers freedom only by the smell of its ashes. Rise up, not in anger, but in spirit, in resolve. Please just remember. Remember who we are. Remember what we've tried to create. Remember what our principles are. Remember the truth. I saw a story today. Said Biden, his administration, had ignored 7,000 warnings of child trafficking. 7,000 warnings. May a millstone be around the neck of all of those that turned a blind eye. When will we come together on our principles again to protect the innocent, to actually enforce our own laws, to defend the vulnerable and call evil out by its name before the fires consume all of us?